that has nothing to do, no jobs, no education, nothing. But to go back to what Anibal said, this idea that Boko Haram or the North is versus Jonathan needs to be cleared once and for all. If people with that kind of idea are not helping the president, this is a Nigerian problem that started before Jonathan came into office. It's a Nigerian problem that may exist long after Jonathan is gone. The issue is, how does Jonathan address the issue in his capacity as Mr. President while he's in office? Because his primary duty is to protect lives and properties and serve Nigerians. So if that mentality continues, that it is anti-Jonathan, then there's a serious issue. How many of Jonathan's people has been killed in the Northeast? The Boko Haram is killing not people from the Northeast, killing Nigerians. So nobody cares. I don't care whether the people are Igbos, Hausa, Yoruba, or the president is Biron. The most important issue is this scourge is killing Nigerians, and it has to be addressed.
The judiciary, they've not really been respectable, I must say that. When President Obasanjo was in power, even though some people might throw stones and stuff and things like he did better and all that, I believe he actually didn't do better. The only thing we saw was somebody that knows how to use the media to his advantage, and he did that excellently. And of course, he also pretended, let me just use that word, pretended that he was fighting corruption, using EFCC to harangue people that apparently does not fall within his pleasure lines at that point. So we saw all that happening, and we kept telling EFCC, and of course we kept telling President Obasanjo that he at least made an attempt to fight corruption. In the case of President Goodluck Jonathan, the issue of corruption is something that somehow most people we've been able to allow tribal lines, religious lines, ethnicity lines, of course, and of course party affiliations to cloud our thoughts and focus. So what we have now is a situation whereby, let's take Stella Odra for instance, whereby Stella Odra had the scandal of the BMW and stuff like that, and we had excuses like, okay, she's being witch hunted because she's Igbo, she's being witch hunted because she's a woman. How much is 255 million that it should make the headlines and all that?
I don't really have expectations beyond the fact that there will be less governance in 2014. And the elections are by the corner, so they're going to stop working, they start campaigning. I think APC is going to go into crisis mode. That's been my prediction for 2014, real crisis. And when they survive it, there'll be a better party. If they don't survive it, that's the end of the opposition. President Jonathan himself needs to get rid of a bit of the aides around him. I have a feeling that Mr. President is being clogged up and is not being told the true state of the country.
That discussion touched almost all the sectors in Nigeria, and while some have predicted a positive change in the year 2014, some believe that the status quo will be maintained. Time for another break. After that, we will be joined by Benga Olorunpomi, who is a social media commentator and consultant.
Investigating, exposing, uncovering, reporting, hard-hitting interviews. Sunrise Daily, only on Channels Television.
Welcome back. Of course, very interesting conversation from our online contributors. But then, we're going to be joined by a social media commentator as well as a consultant, Benga Olorunpomi. Benga, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
2013, turbulent, smooth. What can you tell us? I mean, there have been so many things that made the headlines in terms of aviation, security, education, governance, corruption. What is your thoughts on all these topics that I made mention of? And others, of course.
2013 for me was a very, very interesting year. It was a year of revelations, a year of letters, a year of eye-opening. Many Nigerians who didn't understand many things that happened in the background of governance, in the corridors of power, got a glimpse of what happens there, and everybody left with their noses in the air, covering their noses, because a lot of rotten things happened back there, and we got a glimpse of it within the year. So for me, 2013 was a year of revelation, which showed people where we are as a country and what is likely to happen in the coming year, in the coming elections. So for me, it was a year of revelation.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you say revelation, some people didn't see all those things that you're talking about. Yes. Can you just expatiate and just sector by sector, brief but concisely, just tell us? I mean,
where does one start from? Is it from the aviation
Go ahead.
Sector where the incompetence unraveled, the many years of decay unraveled, and we got to see that many people who are supposed to be in that, who are not supposed to be in that sector, are actually the ones leading the sector.
How?
I mean, for instance, the NACA boss, who we found out wasn't even supposed the stories we hear was that the guy wasn't even supposed to be in that sector, that he was a mechanic or something from where he came from.
Is that substantiated?
It's not, but the guy never came out to defend himself. And for me, that is an admission of guilt. There's the issue of, that many airports were being built only for us. Yes, we saw the structures, but at the same time, there was the issue of 225 million naira being spent to acquire 2 bulletproof BMWs, and that turned out to be a farce. Yes, we saw one BMW, I mean, according to the reports that was submitted by the House of Reps, there was one of the Jeeps that was presented, the chassis number tallied, but the second one didn't. Then the issues of waivers. Who gave these waivers? Turns out that the National Security Office did not do that. So yes, in that sector there were revelations of things that happened. Then we move on to the CBN, the letter that was written to the president by the
Central Bank governor.
Yes, Central Bank governor, and then turns out that he said close to $50 billion.
He retracted that.
He actually did, but then we are hearing things like he had to do it under duress. I'm not standing here to defend the guy, because even within this year as well, another revelation came up about his own infidelities. Okay, so I mean, so there are lots of things happening in the background, the corridors of power that revealed themselves this year. Okay, I'll move on to the area of even in sports. Yes, it happened that we won the Nations Cup. Then it was revealed that the coach and his staff hadn't been paid for months. Even to the point where we heard that the man almost, threatened to resign his job, And as I said, this year has been a year. Is it in the petroleum sector? Is it in the health sector? It has been a year.
What can we learn from all these things that we saw happening this year?
For me, I think, first of all, for me, and I have to go back a bit, one of the biggest thing that's happened for me this year that I've seen is the fact that a few opposition parties came together and merged and formed a formidable party that has the capacity and the strength and the determination to unseat the ruling party.
But people, okay, go ahead.
In that light, it just shows me that with all these issues coming together, it just means that Nigerians are getting wiser. We are getting to understand things that we took for granted, things that we didn't think were important, things that we let go. Now Nigerians now are starting to have the information in their hands to, confront government, to ask for accountability, to actually tell government that, look, what you're doing is wrong. And I think social media has a big part to play in that.
So what do you see is the role for social media in 2014? Of course, we saw the social media gagging bill, which the co-sponsor of that bill has apologized.
Yeah.
But then, what do you think social media, how do you see social media? I mean, in terms of the way it made waves and it made impacts this year, where do you see it going in 2014?
I think for me, it's a case of social media has been able to give people power. People are getting to understand that they, from the comfort of their homes, they can contribute to a national debate. I mean, it was just yesterday, or the day before yesterday, the special advisor to the president on media matters responded to an issue of justice for Alice, the case of a woman who was beaten by her employer.
Yeah.
So it just means that, and then that matter got national attention via social media. What it means now is that people can, in their little corners, contribute